There are two types of strength in life. The strength of a blade, piece of metal. The brittle type that can break, but that can cut. And the other type of strength is one of resilience, long term. That I equate to the strength of a tree. Right? An old tree, you have a pretty hard time cutting through an old tree with a blade. Obviously this metaphor is a bit antiquated, but I think it's very important to determine which type of strength you want in your life, because one of them, though it can be forged quickly, I believe it's something that's going to leave you wanting more in life and oftentimes tests you. The strength of a blade, though useful in a lot of situations in life, when you gotta punch through, when you really gotta put the time in to make a strategic decision, incredibly important, sure. But to me, those decisions, that cutting edge, is only useful for so many scenarios, whereas the strength, the resilience of adaptation will be useful forever. I made it a goal of mine when I was younger to essentially learn what strength is in my own power, my own capacity, and also learn recently what my definition of power is. And the reason I wanted to do these things is because my grandfathers, the men in my family, were particularly powerful people in their villages and their communities. They had this lasting force, beyond their deaths. This kind of energy that people really still loved them, despite them not being around. They loved the fact that soul existed. And I don't know, I guess I was just a deep kid forever, but I've decided, that's the type of person that I want to be in my life, that to give back as much as possible and to actually leave something behind for people to remember, whether it's an emotionality or maybe hopefully some wisdom that I've picked up over the years. Whatever it is, take it. I'd like to think it's my gift in life. So resilience, strength will constantly be tested in your life, constantly. And honestly, you should hope for that. You should hope that life is going to present you the valuable challenges that'll make you into a better person. I think growing up, a lot of us don't have kind of the opportunity to experience tremendous loss or tremendous change. And a lot of people would say that's better. That young people should have a cushion to maintain their youth in the world. My dad passed away when I was 9 years old, and so that cushion, combined with, I guess, my propensity to think about life a lot, it wasn't even that big of a challenge. Like my mom had a phenomenal way of giving us what we needed, love and attention when we needed it. We had the resources that we needed. She aspired to become an incredibly powerful member of American society, despite being an immigrant from Pakistan and all that. So I saw what it takes to make it in this world, right? To get to a position in which we're satisfied and comfortable, and not experiencing that kind of difficult, that like almost traumatic experience, that events in your childhood, I think makes it so that we believe that life is kind of soft and cushy and it's easy. And I think it can be. Especially if you're aspiring to have the type of strength to cut through things, because then when an obstacle comes to your way, you'll just cut through it, right? Rather than reflect on it, rather than think to yourself, what could I do to make this not a reality next time, right? You don't have to adapt if you have the ability to just break all of your obstacles. And I've seen a lot of people in my life like this, right? That are in powerful positions in society, but really don't have the grace that's required to maintain relationships, or the presence of mind to know that the actions that they consistently kind of double down on are actually the things that are hurting them and their mental state a lot of the time. And so that's why I kind of wanted to make this video, to express to you how beautiful it is to live an adaptive life instead of one that will just push and break through everything. So I think it's harder. I think it's harder to live an adaptive life because you have to take a lot more time to think about what you're going through. And a lot of times it can feel like we don't have that time. And we have to make that time. We literally do in order to live this reality. We have to make the time to adapt and to come up with wiser trains of thought that will allow us to persist in the future in other difficult scenarios, because they're bound to come up, regardless of whether or not you're this metaphorical tree or the sword. You're gonna have hard things come up in life, you know. If not in your youth, maybe later on, maybe midlife crisis, whatever it is. Maybe you're super wealthy and you're still unhappy, you know, whatever it is. Hardships are gonna come. And I always believe, set your future self up for an easier time, for a more adaptable, loving, emotionally intelligent time. So let's talk about a tree for a second. You know, if you think about it, like all these trees right around me, I mean, trees are way older than people, right? Like they came way before us. They made oxygen on this planet in a combination. I won't get into it too much, but so trees have adapted more than many other organisms in the world, and that's why they can stay stationary and still make such beautiful foliage and come back year after year while making homes for animals, while making the soil more fertile for other plants. Like, to me, trees are one of the epitome of adaptation is a tree. For something to stay still and still thrive despite its environment, to me, is an incredible feat. And I mean, if you're ever curious, like, just go do some research. Like, they're not as dead as people assume they are. They actually do a lot of communicating and this and that. But the older a tree gets, the more layers it gets. And as you see some of these older trees, because most of these around the bank are pretty young. But some of these older trees, the way that a tree actually grows is that its bark has to split. It has to literally break its skin in order to get bigger and stronger. So, what does that tell you about adaptation? You know, it's like, what does that tell you about strength? You're gonna take a metaphor away from an old tree. I know it's a stretch for some of you, but like, it's not easy. That's what I'd say. It's like, it's a necessity, right? My ideal is that every organism on this planet grows like a tree does, to its maximum extent, to its most beautiful state, before, and maybe live on forever, you know, in memory or whatever. And on top of just like growing strong and tall and getting the resources that it needs, I mean, think about the entire time, right? We bash on billionaires, we bash on rich people for not doing enough, which I always think is hilarious. So be it, that can be another video. But a tree, literally the entire time a tree is alive, it is contributing to its community. The entire time, right? The soil, the capacity of the mycorrhizal fungus that allows it to get its nutrients and connect with other organisms in the soil, the protection, the food that it gives off, I can talk about trees all day, but think about it as a metaphor for a beautiful life. To be that adaptive, I think, should be the aspiration of every human being. Find strength in wherever you can, whatever metaphors you can whip up in nature about strength and adaptation, I think are going to be the most beneficial for everyone in the long run, because we're a part of this thing, and these things have proven the test of time beyond countries, right? Beyond companies, beyond cultures. Like, this stuff's deep. So if you made it to this point of the video, smash that like button for me. It helps a lot. Throw me a comment on what your interpretation of strength and power are. I'd love to hear it. And take a look at this video if you have some time. I made it recently about how powerful it is to go to the woods to find inspiration in nature. I think if more of society did this, I think people would be a lot more accommodating and a lot more kind of even driven in their pursuits to see the beauty in these things. So go check it out. And remember, my friends, actualize your potential. The world needs you. Take care.